everybody. Welcome back to the farm. So I ended up getting new harnesses when I was up in Ohio. And these are them. I got one here and you can see the hames right here on the second set. But the reason that I got new harnesses is the harnesses that I had, I sold the leather set of harnesses that I had with Jewel and Becky, if you remember Jewel and Becky from a year or so ago. I really liked the leather harnesses. I loved the smell. I loved the sound of them. I loved everything about them, but the maintenance on them was a real pain in the butt. So I went to my Amish guy up there in Ohio and I asked him if I could get a set of bios, and I did, and that's what you've been seeing in all the videos. They're the parade harnesses that I had. The problem with them is that they are so big and bulky. And even though the girls are pretty much full height, they still got a little bulking up to do. But those harnesses, even though they were adjusted to their smallest setting, they were still too big in several places on their body, so they never fit them exactly right. So I decided that I wanted to get something that was a little bit more practical for me. The problem with those harnesses was that they were so big and they were so heavy and they were so cumbersome that I struggled to put the harnesses on the girls by myself. This is the harness that I've been using. And the biggest problem is the tug right here. The trace, the tug, whatever you call it in your part of the country. This is 2 inches thick, or 2 inches wide rather, and it's a half an inch thick. And it is so rigid and so bulky that when you've got it all harnessed up on your arm, on your shoulder, and you're holding the hames and you go to harness it over the neck, you have a difficulty getting this tug over the back and onto the far side of the horse. You'll get it over the shoulder, but then when you let go and go to put the britching part over, what ends up happening is this falls back off the front of the shoulder and falls back onto your side. And you end up going from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, until eventually the whole thing just falls off, the whole harness lands on the ground, and the only thing that's on the horse is the hames. And it is the biggest exercise in frustration. And I'm tired of fighting with it. So I made the decision that when I was going back up to Ohio, I was going to talk to Leroy, the harness guy, and make sure that I could get something that was a little bit more manageable, because when I harness Raymond's horses up there, I can harness them no problem. I've got no issues harnessing them whatsoever. These are heavily bedazzled, heavily jeweled parade harnesses, show harnesses, and I don't do any of that. I just pleasure drive. I have tossed the idea around about, doing weddings and doing funerals and that type of stuff. But when you do that, I'm retired. I'm retired military. I'm retired civil service. I get a pension from both of those, and I get 80% from the VA. I'm okay. I'm pretty comfortable. I don't owe any money on this place. It's bought and paid for. And everything I own out here is bought and paid for. So to go to do weddings and funerals and that type of stuff, now I got to have a business license. I got to have insurance. I got to pay taxes to Uncle Sam, which we all hate paying taxes to him. And then I'm on somebody's schedule. Right now, I do what I want, when I want, for how long I want. And I just don't know if I want to get into it to where, Grace, I just don't know if I want to get into it where I've got to be on somebody else's schedule. When you do a wedding, they book you 4 to 6 months in advance, and you have no idea what's going on in your life in 4 to 6 months. My trailer's 20 foot, but it's not big enough to haul a wagon, a carriage, a hearse, and the horses. So I've got to either buy a bigger trailer to carry both of them, or I got to make 2 trips, or I got to have somebody that can pull it behind their vehicle. I just don't know if I want to get into all that. So having these big, heavily parade harnesses, show harnesses, whatever you want to call them, it just doesn't, I just don't need them. I need something that's semi-flashy, but I don't want it to be as flashy as it doesn't need to be as flashy as this. I don't mind this at all. It just doesn't need to be there. All of this adds weight. So the new harness is a scaled down version of this. So this back strap is 6 1/4, or this saddle rather, is 6 1/4 inches. The britchin is 3 1/2 inches. The britchin is 2 inches wide, and it's a 1/2 inch thick, and these straps are 1 1/2 inches that come off the saddle. Where in comparison, this saddle is 5 1/4, and this strap is 1 1/4 inches. The tug is 1 1/2 inches, but it's only 1/4 inch thick. And the britchin is 2 1/2 inches. We don't have any of the bedazzlement on here, okay? But all of the hardware is stainless. So I got stainless chains, stainless hardware, stainless buckles, stainless clips, stainless hames. Everything is stainless. All right? Also, I have a 2-strap britchin versus a 3-strap britchin. The turnbacks, they come off of the Spider. The Spider and these hip drops are smaller as well. But the turnbacks, in the center right here, you've got the check rein that comes up, that connects to the check rein that's on the bridle. It keeps them from lowering their heads down too far. It makes them hold their head up higher. Okay, then you've got these turnbacks that come down, come through this stainless keeper here on the saddle, and then go to the lower ring on the hames. So basically, that's 3 straps right here. Where on the new harness, you can see how much smaller the Spider is, and the hip drops are much smaller, but it's got a single take-back strap. By having that single, it alleviates where they come down, come through a keeper right here, and then down to the lower ring. You don't have that, so it makes it less cumbersome. And your check rein, you've got a hook up here instead of having a separate strap. It's sewn in on a buckle that's adjustable, and you can just hook your check rein into here off your bridle. Now the bridles are the exact same. They've got all the bedazzlement on them, and the stainless, everything's on there, the stainless check rein, chain. So when they're coming at you head on, they still look bedazzled, and with the stainless hames, and then all of the stainless hardware and everything, there's plenty of flash. But this one is significantly lighter because of everything is smaller. By just 1/4, 1/2 inch, it makes all the difference in the world by alleviating a few straps, and then alleviating a britchin strap, and then alleviating, or eliminating, not alleviating, eliminating all of the bedazzlement. It makes it significantly lighter. And I can pick these up and throw them over the horse, no problem. So the one thing, when I was in Ohio, what I found interesting is I didn't ask anybody that I knew. I just asked random people, because the people that were up there, they knew what I was asking when I was asking it. So I didn't ask anybody I knew. But whenever the horses came into the arena, and if you'll go back and look at the Mid-Ohio Draft Horse Auction where the horses were coming through the arena, a lot of horses in there just had on, you know, plainer harnesses with stainless hardware on it. But I would ask random people, what are you looking at when you out there? What are you looking at when the horse was driving, whether it was driving in a team or whether it was driving single or whether they were riding it or whatever? I would ask them, what are you looking at? And they would say, I'm looking at the horse. And I said, well, what do you see? And they would look at me like I was crazy. But then when they realized that I was serious, they would say, well, I'm looking at his posture and his composition and the way he holds his head and the way his gait is, and which is what all of us do. Nobody ever said, I'm looking at the horse's harness. Look how beautiful that harness is. Nobody ever said that. Everybody always said they talked about the horse's assets, never about the harness. And the way that I kind of liken it to is kind of like you see the harness, but you're looking through the harness. It's almost like the harness is invisible. You're looking through the harness so that you can see the horse. It's like you're driving your car, and your car has got a whole dash full of instruments. You've got oil pressure, you've got temperature, you've got battery, you've got fuel gauge, you've got RPM, and you've got speedometer. But the only thing you ever look at is the speedometer and the fuel. You don't look at the other stuff until somebody points it out. Well, what is your oil? Or what is your temperature? Or what is your battery? And it'll be like, oh, I don't know. Let me find it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's in the red. Nobody pays attention to that. That's the way I kind of relate the harnesses to. The harnesses, nobody looks at them. They're looking at the horse. So these are almost invisible, just like your gauges are invisible until you need them. So anyway, I am most probably going to, when I go back in October, the next sale, I've had a lot of comment, the next sale is October 6th through 11, guys. They're also having the Charm Festival up there in the town of Charm. They're having some apple festivals. The leaves are going to be turning in October. So hotels are booking up quick. October is the big time to be in October. I mean, October is the big time to be in Ohio. So if you have got Mount Hope wanting to go there and you've always wanted to go there and it's been on your bucket list, you need to get a hotel reservation or you're going to be staying way out and driving in every day. So anyway, I'm going to put these on the girls. I'm going to get them adjusted. I'm not going to show all those adjustments, but I'm going to get them on the girls. I'm going to take them over to the new hitching post. I'm going to get them hooked up, and then I'm going to take them out for a drive. And then I'm going to have to come back and I'm going to have to adjust them because they're going to settle in and they're going to, you know, kind of like a new shoe. You put a new shoe on, you tighten it, and you walk around for a couple hours, and then you got to come back and tighten it up or loosen it up or whatever to make your foot feel better. So I'm going to put these on, get them adjusted, take them out, drive them around, come back, adjust them, and then we'll go from there. What's most probably going to happen is I'm going to take this set of harnesses to Ohio with me in October, and I'm going to keep the hames. I'll keep the bridles. All 4 bridles match. So I've got the bridles that came with these harnesses, or that I had made for these harnesses. I got the exact set made for those harnesses on the other side over there. So I've got 4 matching bridles, and I'm going to keep the stainless hames, but I'm going to take these up to Leroy and I'm going to trade these in, and he'll sell them as used. And then what I'll do is I'll get another set exactly like the set that I just bought, and I will use those for the boys when they come up. That way I won't have to mess with these heavy, bulky harnesses any longer. I was talking to the guy that's going to breed the girls. That's in an upcoming video. They're going to be bred at the beginning of April. Next week, or at the end of this week, they're going to the vet to get ultrasounded and vet checked and all that, but then they're going down to South Georgia to be bred by a registered Percheron stallion. But he told me that when he was showing over the summer that he had to put his harnesses on in 3 pieces. And what a pain in the butt to have to take this thing apart, put it on in 3 pieces, and then put it back together. That makes your time to drive, it just extends it by so much, because these things are not user friendly when it comes to taking them apart and putting them back together. So, but he said he has the same problem because his are too big and too bulky to be able to throw over the horse. It is an exercise in frustration with this big old reinforced tug right here. And I'm not a fan of it. So this is the way I'm going to operate solo. I'll just leave the forecart or the wagon right here. I'll drive the girls up, tie them off, and hook them up. And then I can untie them, come over here and get on. Got my cover on for weather, but I'll be able to just untie them from the hitching post and then give them a command to go out to the right, and then we'll just head off. $73 today. New harnesses are doing great. They don't like going across this little clearing right here. For some reason, there's some tall grass right in the middle, and they shy away from it, so let's see how they do.
normally Grace on the right that doesn't like it, but they're picking up the pace to get through it. Easy, easy, slow, slow. Good girl. Got the dog out with us, and the dog's just hanging out, relaxing. We're going to head up here to the hitching post and tie them off, make some adjustments to their harnesses, their tugs, and then go back out. Show you the whole purpose of this hitching post now. Ooh. Worked perfect. And there's the harnesses all on the girls. Plenty of flash there.
All right, so the changes that I made to them once I pulled them up here, Jean's inside tug was just a little too short, so I had to adjust her inside tug. I adjusted the quarter straps on both of them. I may still have to adjust those a little bit more. And the saddles had kind of ridden up on their withers a little bit, so I had to slide those back just a little bit. But other than that, the harnesses fit the girls identical. all the harnesses were exactly the same in all of their settings. So I'll be able to interchange those. I'm not gonna have to have one identified for Jean and one identified for Grace. But their breast strap up front is just a little bit bigger on Jean than it is Grace. So they're one hole off. So I've got to identify which one goes to Jean and which one goes to Grace. But other than that, they're pretty much interchangeable. I didn't go into a lot of detail on the hitching post in the last video because I was just trying to get it installed. I didn't show all that because you guys have seen me dig plenty of holes with the tractor and, you know, set a post in there and concrete it or put rocks in there. But I've been trying to find the material to build another hitching post, and without having to drive 45 minutes to a metal supplier or an hour to a metal supplier, I was up there and I saw this metal and I pulled in and I asked the guy, it was an Amish guy, and I said, hey, do you have some drops that I can purchase from? And he said, yeah. And he said, what are you trying to do? And I said, I'm trying to make a hitching post. And he said, well, how big do you want it? And I told him I wanted it 6 feet wide, which is what this is. I told him I wanted 7-foot legs. He said, well, when are you leaving? And I said, tomorrow morning. And he said, well, I can make it for you if you want. I can kind of, you know, I can make it happen. I've got jobs ahead of you, but nothing that can't wait till Monday. I can make it happen. So he was gonna run this out like that and then bring this leg in up at a T, but I didn't want it hanging out because, you know, invariably a horse is gonna get a line tangled around it, you know. So I told him I wanted it 45 like my other hitching post that's in the barn. And then he put these tie-down hooks on it for me, so you run your rope through it and then around it, and that way it keeps your horse from sliding the rope all the way over to here. Keeps them in place right here, so that was real nice. And then the other thing he did is the legs are double walled, so he slid I don't know if it was a 2.5 or this is 3-inch scheduled 40, so I don't know if he slid a 2.5-inch pipe or a 2 3/4-inch pipe. I'm not sure what size, but he slid it inside and he drilled holes down here and he plug welded it, and then he welded it across the bottom down there, and it ended up being where it's only doubled up to about right here. This is all single wall up here, and then of course this is all single wall. He said your biggest fatigue point's down here at the ground where they're pulling back on it, and he said they're gonna bend it down here at the ground. So anyway, he ginned this up for me, and it was $285 out the door, which I could have bought the material for $285, but I would have had a bunch left over, a bunch of, you know, 3 and 4 foot pieces left over, and it would have sat around for 20 years and I would have never used it because it wouldn't ever been long enough to do anything. So I didn't think 285 bucks finished, welded out the door was bad at all. So extremely happy with this. I'm probably going to get another one when I go back in October and plant it right next to this one so that when I start driving the Belgians, I can have all 4 of them out here at the same time and get them out of the barnyard, and it'll just be a lot easier. So guys, that's going to do it for this week. I appreciate you watching, and as always, remember who you are, be kind to those around you, stand up for what you believe in.